The Indic Collective is basically an organization which is meant to give a constitutional response, a democratic response, an intellectual response to the other side. I'll give you a simple example, and perhaps it's a very politically incorrect example to give, but be that as it may, I'll give it. It is rumored that the number of branches that the RSS has in this country is about 70,000. 60 to 70,000 is the number. And I'm giving a rough figure that each branch has at least 10 people. What does that translate to? 7 lakh people across the country? This is an organization that constantly bleats and groans about Sanskrit not getting its due in this country. That Sanskrit is not adopted, it's not spoken, and they've always called themselves the guardians of this particular language. I have a simple question to ask. 70,000 into 10 is 7 lakh. How many of these 7 lakh people have been taught Sanskrit by the RSS itself? An organization which wants the rest of the country to learn this language itself has not deemed it important to teach the language to its own people. What does it say? As far as a third party is concerned, this is a hypocritical position. You want the rest of the world to learn this language, but you have not been able to teach this language to your own people when you have specific wings which are dedicated to the teaching of this language. I'm sure people have heard of this branch called the Samskrita Bharati. You have a wing dedicated to it, but you have not taught it. Second, there is a fundamental inferiority complex on the Indic side, which needs to be overcome. You can continue to gripe about the other side, but unless and until you know how the other side operates, you will not be in a position to respond to it. If you vilify English, you have effectively given them complete hold over English media. If you say that English does not belong to this country, you live in the age of dinosaurs because you fail to understand that whether you like it or not, English has become a popular language in this country. The very same people, when pushed to the wall, they'll say, no, English has several words that comes from Sanskrit. Then is it your position that English is an Indian language or not? At least clarify that. You can't say that English has several words which come from Sanskrit and also say that English is a foreign language. But on a more practical level, you have not learnt the art of mastering the rules of the game so that you're in a position to respond to them and then decide the rules of the game yourself. When you're in a position of weakness, the first thing that you're supposed to do is this. Understand the rules of the game that have been set by the other side, master the rules of the game, and then aspire to come to a point where you're in a position to change the rules of the game yourself. But at least until that particular point of time, you need to continue to play by those rules until you're in a better stage to alter the rules of the game. Every time I go to a discussion, every time I go to any of these these discussions and seminars, the first thing that they say is, somehow the English media is against us. Somehow the Lutyens media is against us. The Lutyens media, for all practical purposes, has no reason to be for you or against you. It is only going in the direction where power sways. It is only going in the direction where money exists and where there is influence. Whoever is willing to give them importance, whoever is willing to cultivate them, you'll have them. Today you have a different voice altogether. Now, fortunately, you have a voice through Republic, where you're able to put forth your point of view. Therefore, what does it show? It's not impossible for you to create your voice. It's not impossible for you to create your own platform. But you need to understand the importance of creating a platform. You need to understand that this is very, very important. Unless and until you realize the value of a constitutional argument or a dialectical debate, you will always be anti-intellectual, you'll always be afraid of an argument, you will always flounder when you're called to debate on all the positions that you hold. Let's ask ourselves this simple question. On the aspect of whether India is or is not a country of Hindu origins, if a public debate were to be held today, how many voices from the Indic side can we identify who can hold their own against the best of voices which the other side can field and prove their point of view in a language that they understand? Handful. It's literally a handful. Therefore, The Indic Renaissance or the civilizational renaissance that we speak of is not going to come only at the ground level, or it's not going to happen at one level, it has to happen at multiple levels. 1,000 different revolutions, 1,000 different mini revolutions have to bloom and blossom across the country. If at all, there has to be an Indic Renaissance in the future. And for that to happen, you need to master the art of debating, the art of articulation, the art of building an argument, and giving depth to your argument. Every time you speak of Sanskrit, there is always one gentleman who says that even NASA or some other organization has recognized that Sanskrit is the best language for computer programming. That is all we know about Sanskrit. Beyond that, we know jack. Is that true? Does it have a basis? Is it scientifically verifiable? Or is this hearsay? Was this a random statement made in some article? Or was the entire article dedicated to this particular issue? Has anybody undertaken that particular research? That is our problem. We seem to be purveyors of myths, or at least we don't know how to prove that something is not a myth. Somebody constantly hails this as a slur at you. You're an idol worshipper, you're a cow worshipper. Either you repel that and say, I'm not this, or you try and prove why this is the case and why there is nothing to be ashamed about. But you will never do that for the simple reason that you would rather hide under a rock and evade that particular argument than meet that argument head on. And that is the reason that each time you run away from a certain discussion, you are gradually encouraging within yourself the inability to repel an argument on an intellectual level. Unless and until you hone the ability and sharpen the ability to constantly engage with the other side, you will never be in a position to win the hearts and minds of the popular public.